Happy New Year! I think. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Face to Face. How you doing, Rabbi?
Great. Happy New Year to you.
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you. Happy New Year. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Now I'm confused. Hold on a second. So, let's start with a text. We don't actually usually do this. So let's start with the text. So I want to share with you all. This is a text from the Mishnah, from Masechet Rosh Hashanah, which means the Tractate of Rosh Hashanah. And so here's what it says. Arba'a Rosh Hashanah. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Go.
Just get everybody oriented in time. So this is somewhere between 200 BCE and 200 CE that this is being written. Now, go ahead.
Arba'a Rosh Hashanim Haim. There are 4 Jewish New Years. I put in the word Jewish. It doesn't say Jewish.
What?
There are 4 New Years. Be'echad b'Nisan Rosh Hashanah lamlachim v'laraglim. That the first of Nisan, we'll talk about when these actually are in a second. The first of Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah. It's the head of the year for kings and for festivals. Be'echad be'Elul Rosh Hashanah lema'aser behema. The first of Elul is the Rosh Hashanah. It's the head of the year for the tithing of cattle. Have you tithed your cattle yet, Rabbi? Yeah, okay. Rabbi Eliezer of Rabbi Shimon Omrim Bechad B'Tishrei. But then there's a different opinion that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon say, no, it's not actually on the first of Elul, it's actually on the first of Tishrei. It continues, Bechad B'Tishrei Rosh Hashanah L'Shanim V'Lashmitim V'Layovlot. That the first of Tishrei is the Rosh Hashanah. It's the new year for years and for the Shemitah year and for the Yovel year. Lintiyah v'lerakot. It's also for planting and for the what do you call it? The ingathering of vegetables. What's that called? When you ingather vegetables?
Harvest them.
Yeah, thank you. Planting and harvesting. I couldn't think of the word. Sorry. And then it says. Be'echad b'Shvat, on the first of Shvat, Rosh Hashanah la'ilan is the new year of trees. K'divrei Beit Shammai, that's what Beit Shammai says. Beit Hillel omrim, but Hillel says b'chamisha asar bo, on the 15th. So b'kitzur, in short, my friends, according to our rabbis, we have 4 New Years. So when do they fall? So the first one, it says Echad b'Nisan, the first of Nisan, which is the New Year for years. For kings and for festivals. That one falls, it's next week, right? Yeah, I think it's next week. And the way you know when that one falls is because it's always going to be 15 days before Pesach. Right, okay? The next one, Echad be'Elul. Elul is the month right before the Rosh Hashanah that we all know. So a month before Rosh Hashanah is the first of Elul. The first of Tishrei is the Rosh Hashanah that we know, the one that usually falls in September, or this year, I think it's in July, actually. It's really, really early. It's not early, it's right on time, sorry. And then Echad, what's the next one? Echad b'Shvat, either the first of Shvat or the 15th of Shvat, depending on whether you're a Shammai or a Hillel guy, is the new year for the trees. So Rabbi, what's the deal with all these New Years? I don't get it.
I don't know. All right, okay. Look, the Jewish calendar has always been set up to demarcate not just holiday observances, but also any number of time-bound mitzvot, time-bound obligations, okay? To ensure that certain commandments are completed at the right time, we have 4 different New Years. Okay? And they were established to provide some boundaries and some markers for all of the activities of biblical life. All right. So the one that nobody knows about, all right, the one that is the first of Elul, the tithing of the cattle, all right. If you have cattle that are born over a year, right, you need to, No.
No.
Okay. If you have cattle, like actual animals that are born over the year, all right, you need to give a tithe, the tenth, towards the community for that. Well, rather than my remembering, okay, calf number one was born, on April this, and cattle number two was born on April that, and cattle number three, and I've got 500 cattle. I know I'm going to just take them all, and we're going to say any cattle that were born from last first of Elul to this first of Elul, they're going to get tithed. Okay, so it makes it easier. And by the way, all right, that's
so
the
that
same
one,
thing.
So that one, Rabbi. So that's April 15th, right? That's tax day.
It is. It is.
I mean,
okay.
in a certain way, tax day, or for businesses, it's July, but that also is a new year, right? Because we start.
Correct. Okay. Whether we think about our fiscal year, or we think about our calendar year, these are ways of helping us organize our lives. Okay. I'll give you the other one, which is the one that I'll say many people know about but don't necessarily observe, which is Tu B'Shvat. All right, we did finally land on the idea that instead of it being the first of Shvat, all right, it is the 15th of Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, the new year of the trees. Now, why is that important? Okay, why do we need a new year of the trees? Well, because the Torah tells us that we're not allowed to eat fruit that is designated as an orlah, right, as something that has not reached its fourth birthday, right? And if I have fruit that grows on my vines or grows on my trees before that reaches a fourth birthday, it has to drop. It just has to be left. So how do I keep track? How do I keep track of all of my trees? Well, again, rather than having to figure out which one, we just agree every tree that's planted in this particular year is going to get the same birthday.
All right, but what you're describing sounds very utilitarian.
Of course.
Which I think it is, but I guess the wonder for me, or the question for me is, how do we, because you're right, most people don't know about the first of Elul, most people don't know about the first of Nisan. So this really isn't even a question, haven't those utilitarian purposes, don't they fall flat today? And why bother having these New Year's anymore?
Well, that's where I think we can talk about the other two New Year's, because you're right. Most of us don't live in an agricultural community. We don't order our lives around the growth of either animals or, for that matter, trees. Right, so we've got two other New Year's. We've got the new year of the first of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, the one that everybody knows, right? And the one that nobody really thinks about, right? Which is the first of Nisan, right? The one that's coming up, right? And that's where I think that we can derive meaning, right? Not because we're worried about the kings, right? And just so that you understand, from a historical standpoint, if we look at that text, right, the first of Tishrei is the new year of foreign kings, okay? So we needed certain legal documents. They needed to be dated in a current year. And so and it was marked by what year the king was in his reign. So,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I actually knew that, but I don't know how I know that. Is that somewhere in the text itself that it's foreign kings and not Israeli kings? Do you happen to know?
I looked it up. It's not. I don't believe.
I bet you.
don't
I bet
believe
you
it.
it's. I'd be willing to bet it'll be in the commentary somewhere that it's
Sure.
regarding.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Foreign
Sorry about
kings. All right. So you got foreign kings, and you need to mark their, this was done in the first year of so and so's reign, or the 15th year of so and so's reign. Okay. And those were foreign kings. Then you got the first of Nisan, right, which is the new year of the reigns of Jewish kings. Same idea. Right. But they make a differentiation between foreign kings and Jewish kings. And where I'd love for us to spend some time is this idea of the first of Nisan, right? Because a new year, right? We think about our new year, and we think, if we're thinking Jewishly at all, we're thinking about Rosh Hashanah, right? But what about that first of Nisan, right? That is so close. It corresponds so closely to the season of our redemption from Egypt, right? And the birth of the Jewish people, right? That we experience a new year not by some arbitrary first day of the year, right? Rosh Hashanah is in the 7th month,
right?
Right? Tishrei is the 7th month, okay? But we start counting our year, okay? The first day of the first month is the day that we go out of Egypt, right? That we experience our redemption and our freedom, right? And that's when we mark coming our first, the beginning of our year.
I think most people would actually be really surprised when they see that. I'm wondering if it says it in here. It doesn't. That Rosh Hashanah, that our Rosh Hashanah is actually in the 7th month. It's not listed here in this particular text, but this idea that
it is listed in the Torah as that.
No, absolutely. But I love the idea that the way we mark time is intimately linked to the pivotal moments. The way we imagine, the way we mark the present and the future is intimately linked to our past. I think that's really powerful.
Well, I think it is. And if we think about the word Shana, right? The word Shana for year, and we think about the word for repeat, lishnot, they come from the same root, right? And like Simchat Torah, right? Where we end the Torah reading and then immediately begin a new Torah reading, we don't think of years as just being a linear marking of time, but rather as cycles of opportunity for us to review and renew. Right? And we're always moving forward. It's not as if we're going back in time, but rather that we have a chance to review, right? That we reflect on the year that has passed, right? And look, think about it. We can think about it in agricultural terms, all right? Since historically our years have been tied to agriculture, we can think about it in terms of cycles of growth, right? That our plants grow and they get harvested, and then they have a period of either death or what's the word, hibernation, and then they grow again, all right, and it continues to be that cycle. And I think that that's a valuable lesson for us.
So what I'm about to say may be wrong. I don't think I've ever actually kept a plant alive for long enough to know the answer to this. But I wonder if a difference between us as human beings and this cycle that you were just speaking about and plants is that for plants, the cycle is once a year, as it were, right? So they're born, or they grow, they die, and then next year they can grow again. Whereas for us, we've got 4 New Years, right? For us, that sort of rebirth, and I love what you said before, the review and renew, I think, that is a constant process for us. And one of the things that I just noticed, I was scrolling through the Mishnah, is that the very next Mishnah also starts, Be'arba'a prakim, ha'olam nidun, that the whole world is judged 4 times a year. And one of the things that I take away from that is that number 4 is not, that's a symbolic number. That just like there are 4 imahot and there are 4 questions and 4 cups and that numbers in Judaism are much more symbolic. And so the point is not so much that there are only 4 years, but that there are multiple rebirths and renewings for us. And I can't help but wonder if this idea of a new year isn't also an invitation for us to create more of those moments, more of those celebrations of review and renew, as you said.
Look, we have it in the fact that we celebrate the new month.
Oh, right.
That every month we watch the cycle of the moon, right? We watch its waxing and waning, right? And then we celebrate that, right? And from a female standpoint, that there is a woman's cycle, right? And that cycle is both death and then automatically a renewal, right? The chance for new life, for a rebirth of our experiences, right? And we guys don't have to shut that off either. I think that we have that ability, right? Time is such an important element of our lives, and sometimes we think about it only in linear terms, right? What is behind us is gone, and what is in front of us is what's in front of us.
One of my favorite little grammatical little tidbits is that there is no such thing as past tense and future tense in the Torah. That there's perfect and imperfect, right? Perfect is completed and imperfect means not yet completed, which could mean it's in process. It could mean it'll happen in the future. It could mean it might happen, it should happen, it could happen. But the idea that it's not binary, it's not past or present, past or future, it's in process, it's completed, it's incomplete, it's on the way, it might happen. I love that. I love that idea.
What a beautiful idea. Absolutely beautiful idea. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So Rosh Chodesh Nisan is this Sunday, according to my calendar here. You doing anything to celebrate?
Am I doing anything to celebrate Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Well, I'd say, getting my house cleaned up for Pesach. But the truth is that we've done a whole lot of renovations in the house, and so our house is like pretty immaculate at this point. All right, we're so excited. We don't have to really clean for Pesach because we've already done it.
But you were kidding, I think. But I actually think what you just said is incredibly powerful and beautiful, and that is that, if we're looking. not only if we're looking for ways to celebrate, but I think that many of us unknowingly have already been celebrating the first of Nisan because we do. That's when our preparations do begin, right? That's when we start to notice. Well, in some restaurants, I mean, in some supermarkets, they put the matzah out on Hanukkah time. But, that's when we start to maybe shop for our gefilte fish, our matzah, or whatever. That's when we start to, it makes me think of, I never thought of it this way, but the way we mark the first of Elul, the Rosh Hashanah in Elul, is in preparation for the next one. So it's not only do we have these multiple moments of review and renew, but they are also all linked to one another in how we mark them, right? This one, the way we mark this one leads to this one, the way we mark this one leads to the next one.
Yeah. And if we are intentional in our work, our individual growth work, then they can be quite meaningful. They can be helpful. The trouble that we have, and I'm as guilty as the next person, is that I don't really think. I'm not really being conscious about it. And how can I be conscious, intentional about my work? How can I, if this week, right? This week we are, I don't want to say the word celebrating, we are commemorating that this is about a year since this whole COVID thing came down, right? And how much we have changed, how much hopefully we've grown. Can we look at this, right, at this moment in history as an opportunity for us to reflect on the year that's passed, right, but also be intentional about what is going to be the future.
You know, it's second nature to you. But we were, before we got on earlier today, we were talking about some classes that we had both taken this last week, and we were talking about Torah Lishma, that is Torah for its own sake, versus, not verses really, they're not against one another, and Torah that we can actually apply and use, kind of practical Torah. And so what you're saying is making me think that, one way to appreciate these 4 New Years is to just appreciate them, to celebrate them, to see them as religious markers in the year, and to honor them in that way. But on a whole deeper level, they invite us to do what you just did. They invite us to find our own moments, like this weekend, which is the 1 year of COVID, and they inspire us, I think, to or challenge us maybe to find ways to meaningfully mark those, and as you said before, to wake up to the many moments along the path that we can celebrate, mark, remember. It's all of those. Yeah.
Yehi Ratzon, may it be not right. God's will, but may it be our will to be that kind of reflective and intentional in our lives.
Well, you know what, friends, if you feel like I do, that you're not quite as reflective as that, then maybe this Sunday would be a great opportunity to reflect. I love it, to review and renew, right? Because here we have the first of Nisan, the first of the Jewish New Year's. So, and I'm going to start getting ready for Pesach. That's how I'm going to do it. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I love that.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's very, very exciting to see everyone here. Happy New Year. And we will see you next time on Face to Face.